Hello everyone. This story is about, what if Naruto was saved by the Daimyo and became his Harbinger? After saving Naruto, the Daimyo appoints teachers who help Naruto become the Daimyo's eyes and ears in Konoha. A place the Daimyo himself is not sure deserves to exist after what it had done to Naruto. Please like, share and subscribe. Now let's start. Naruto was walking through Konoha streets. His mind on different things being drawn out with the events pertaining to the Chunin exams as they got closer and closer. It was only recently that he found the corpse of the sound ninja under the guise of Konoha 1 that was one of Kabuto's teammates, who had advanced during the preliminaries to the finals. All thanks to Sabaku no Gara crushing said ninja with his sand because the red-haired boy was provoked because the two were meant to fight each other among the start of the Chunin exam finals. Not that it mattered if the fake Konoha ninja participated or not. In truth, the agent of Orochimaru was going to be arrested on the day of the Chunin exam finals, and let his opponent win by disqualification. You seem very focused and serious today, Naruto-san. Far too focused and serious for someone your age, remarked Temari while leaning against a building with a smirk on her face. Temari-san. How are you today? I imagine the weather here in Konoha is much different than what you are used to in Suna, replied Naruto politely since he had no reason to insult the daughter of the Kazekage. It is different. In Suna, we have intense skin-blistering heat, winds that can kick up the sand to the sky above, and the sand itself, well, let's just say there is more than enough of it to go around, said Temari with her smile never leaving her face. I'll take your word for it, said Naruto with Temari walking towards him. I have heard some interesting rumors about you. I wasn't sure what they say is true and what is made up. It creates an air of mystery around you, Naruto-san. And I love a good mystery, replied Temari with Naruto raising an eyebrow at her, but decided to humor the kunoichi. So what do you want to know? Asked Naruto while motioning for her to follow him while they talked. Well, for starters I heard you were from Konoha, but had a terrible childhood growing up, said Temari since she felt it was the best way for her to approach Naruto. Even if it was a sensitive subject. It is true. I have suffered during my time in Konoha. My childhood was far from happy. I hear your brother was the same as well and for the same reasons, replied Naruto with Temari nodding while her eyes became sad. Yes. My father wanted to turn my brother into a weapon for Suna. At first, Gara was spoiled in the hopes of gaining his love and loyalty so he would fight for our village. But over time, we learned Gara's seal was barely strong enough to contain Shikaku, and the Biju within him would come out if he slept for even a second. My father saw Gara as a flawed weapon after it happened the first time, and following that moment, everything changed, replied Temari while Naruto had an idea of what she meant by that. So instead of being loved, your brother was hated. Feared, surmised Naruto with Temari nodding while her eyes became sadder. My father hired assassins to kill Gara. He would say, flawed weapons have no place in Suna or in this family, when the assassins were asked about the target and why they were going after the Kazekage's son. Not only that, but my father portrayed Gara as if he was Shikaku himself in human skin. The sand protecting Gara didn't exactly make people think differently. All of the children would run away from him, calling him a monster. Gara even tried to apologize once to a boy for losing his ball, but the boy practically shoved it back in Gara's face. It wasn't until our uncle on my mother's side of the family tried to kill Gara did he finally snapped, explained Temari while Naruto frowned. Why would your uncle try to kill Gara? Asked Naruto, curiously. Because my mother was used in the sacrifice needed to seal Shikaku into Gara. My uncle blamed Gara for her death and kept his resentment at bay for 8 long years until finally the man couldn't take it anymore. When it happened, Gara was very close to our uncle and never would have suspected betrayal from him. But it happened and the end result made Gara cold. Cruel. Though I don't need to tell you that. You've seen his eyes for yourself, replied Temari with Naruto nodding. I have. Your brother is like me in many aspects, yet different due to how we ended up being raised. In the long run, I could have ended up like him. I see myself in Gara had I gone through such a betrayal of that magnitude, said Naruto with Temari raising her own eyebrow at this. Didn't you with the Sandaime Hokage? Rumor has it you had a falling out with him and 2 of the Sannin upon coming back here, questioned Temari with Naruto nodding. I did in a sense, but this is different. The 3 you speak of were not my blood. Not my family. Granted, Senju Tsunade is technically my distant cousin, but I do not, and will not acknowledge her as family. She has forsaken her Uzumaki blood and dishonored the very principles of the Senju. I do not feel hatred for her. Only pity. When Senju Tsunade dies, her true torment will begin, and she will have no one to blame but herself, said Naruto, calmly yet coldly. You assume your family wouldn't have been the same way, said Temari with Naruto stopping and looking at her. My mother never intended for me to be a Jinchuriki. At least not right away. The act of the sealing was forced because someone was trying to cause this village's destruction on the night of my birth. I have it on good authority of the fire Daimyo himself that both my parents loved each other and loved me until the end. Kyubi himself confirmed this by showing me his memories of them just before their death, said Naruto, while Temari was shocked by this. You've actually spoken to your Biju? Asked Temari, since she had never heard anything about this happening before in the past. Yes. Unlike Gaara's seal, mine is strong enough to keep the Kyubi's influence at bay, but it doesn't stop me from making a connection with him. I've spent many days forming a bond with my Biju. Sadly, I don't expect Shikaku to do the same given his level of insanity, so I would advise Gaara against such an attempt on his part. Said Naruto with Temari nodding, since she didn't believe he would mislead her about this information. Naruto may be a Jinchuriki from another country, but Temari was sure he didn't want to hurt someone like himself with a similar burden. Plus, the Suna Kunoichi suspected if Gaara did make such an attempt with Shikaku, the Biju would tear him apart from the inside, and kill her little brother before going on a rampage. Could you fix his seal? I mean, the Uzumaki clan were renowned for their mastery in the way of sealing, so, asked Temari with Naruto thinking it over in his head. What do you think, Kurama? Should I help her brother with his seal? Thought Naruto, since he wanted the Biju's opinion on the situation. By all means. The tighter and stronger the seal that binds Shikaku, the better. That damn raccoon never had any sense of self-respect as one of the 9 Biju. He should be restrained tightly for his past actions, replied Kurama with anger in his voice. Don't be like that, Kurama. Would you want him to say the same thing about you if roles were reversed? Thought Naruto with Kurama grumbling. No. I suppose not. Still, you should tighten Shikaku's seal to shut him out. If only to help the boy sleep at night. All those years without sleep do not help one's sanity, said Kurama with Naruto nodding. I can take a look at the seal, Temari-san. Sadly, I am not an expert seal master, despite my understanding of seals being quite literally in my blood, but I have been studying the matter in my father's library. Further, I'm sure I can examine the seal to see where it is weak, and with some careful research make those areas stronger. Replied Naruto while making a mental note to have shadow clones investigate the study of sealing and maybe even ask Karen to assist in learning the art. It never hurt to have an extra hand on the matter. Thanks. I would really appreciate it. I know my father wants me to keep my emotional feelings toward Gaara at a minimum, but I can't stand the idea of him in such pain even though he's given as good as he's got. My brother never asked to be made a Jinchuriki or becoming a weapon for Suna. I just want Gaara to have some measure of actual and natural happiness that doesn't involve taking a life needlessly, said Temari. As she felt herself suddenly overcome with a desire to express herself in this matter without it being overly necessary for this seduction she was supposed to undertake to get Naruto on Suna's side. I understand. As I said, I would help you in this when I can. Now if you will excuse me, Temari-san, I am needed elsewhere at the moment, said Naruto before bowing to her politely and walking away from the now happy Kunoichi. Maybe this mission won't be so bad after all, thought Temari before Naruto stopped and looked at her. Also, I think you should inform your sensei and siblings that your father is dead. The Kazekage you serve and is coming here soon is a false one, said Naruto with Temari looking at him in shock. What? How can you say that? What proof do you have of such a thing has happened to my father? Asked Temari while looking around and found they were in a more quiet part of Konoha with few people in the area. I had Jiraiya of the Sannin look into it with his spy network. Not only that, but one of Orochimaru's own key spies was caught during the Chunin exams, and spilled what his master planned to do in order to get deep within Konoha's walls. Replied Naruto with Temari looking shocked by this news. Then why didn't you tell me sooner? Why not tell my sensei? We could have stopped it before my father was assassinated, questioned Temari with Naruto shaking his head. Orochimaru killed your father shortly after the Chunin exam preliminaries, and by the time we got the plan out of the Sannin spy, your Kazekage was already dead. The snake Sannin is impersonating him so he can manipulate Suna's ninja into going through with his plan to attack Konoha. He needs to act like the Kazekage in order to keep the alliance with his sound forces intact. After all, if Suna learned its Kazekage were killed, and at the hands of the one they allied with, the snake Sannin would find himself in a very tricky situation when the invasion comes along. Replied Naruto, while giving her a hint as to what she should do next with what he just told her. Why are you helping Suna? Why are you doing any of this? What do you gain from it? Asked Temari, while Naruto smiled slightly at her. I'm helping to fix the error your village made toward Gaara. I'm helping to heal the bond you have with your family. Both you and Kankuro are afraid of Gaara and believe he will kill either of you regardless if he is provoked. Meanwhile, Gaara himself has no one in his life to love him and will one day die alone in the darkness. People like Gaara. Like us. We should not die that way, much less live that way regardless of what others may think. I am not doing this just for Gaara, but rather I'm doing this for everyone like us, and giving them a chance to achieve happiness in their lonely dark world. Replied Naruto before walking off to leave the Suna Kunoichi alone with her thoughts. So you told the Suna Kunoichi what you know about the Kazekage's death. Why? How could you be sure she wouldn't stay the course for the invasion to honor her father's dying wish? Asked the Fire Daimyo once Naruto came to see him and deliver his report on the matter. For one, the Kazekage is her father. Even if he joined in the alliance with Orochimaru to invade Konoha to destroy the village, it didn't give the Sannin the right to kill the man just to get close to achieve his objective. Besides, the Suna ninja are loyal to their Kage, and they wouldn't dare dream of knowingly follow a fake as well as the one responsible for the real Kage's death. Explained Naruto while kneeling before the Fire Daimyo. I take it there is more in your reason, questioned the Fire Daimyo, with Naruto nodding his head once. I wanted to prevent needless bloodshed. Konoha's future is already looking grim, even with a sliver of light among the darkness that surrounds the village. There is no need for it to end in violent merciless bloodshed. If Konoha is to fall, it should fall by your word, and your word alone, Daimyo-sama. Not Orochimaru. I merely wish to ensure Konoha's future is not taken out of your hands, replied Naruto while the Fire Daimyo nodded though he suspected there was more. And Sabaku no Gaara? He is like you, correct? Only with a weaker and possibly faulty seal, questioned the Fire Daimyo, with Naruto nodding. Yes, on all counts, Daimyo-sama. I intend to help Gaara by strengthening his seal and giving him a peace of mind. In doing so, I save the life of someone like myself, and give us strong neighboring allies should we have need of their help in certain matters. All that I do benefits you and Fire Country, replied Naruto with the Fire Daimyo nodding his head in agreement. Agreed. I have spoken to my fellow daimyo in Wind Country and explained to him the matter regarding Suna to him. After what has happened here, as well as my own personal recommendations, I would have to say his interests will be redirected back to Suna soon enough when the Chunin exams are over here. Of course that will only happen if we can prevent Suna from still joining in the invasion with Orochimaru's sound ninja, said the Fire Daimyo with Naruto nodding. Hence why I have been trying to assist Suna with some of its problems that have led to this action. By removing these reasons to attack Konoha, as well as expose Orochimaru's hand in killing their Kazekage, Suna will be our ally. And assist Konoha in repelling the invasion rather than assisting in it. If we time everything just right, Orochimaru will die during the invasion, and his forces will be brought down into submission, replied Naruto confidently with the Fire Daimyo nodding. Another good point on your part. But remember, Orochimaru is one of the Sannin, and is not so easily defeated. He is the personification of deceit and has been known to slither out of danger when needed. Add to the fact his former sensei is conspiring with him only makes things worse. There is also the X factor that is Senju Tsunade and her dislike for you, Naruto. She may try to attack you during the invasion among the chaos that will arise from the attack by Orochimaru, explained the Fire Daimyo with Naruto nodding. I know. I have been training this entire month in preparation for Orochimaru's attack and Tsunade's eventual assault during it. I won't allow either to succeed. To further that goal, I suggest you have Shizune and Itachi stand beside you under the pretense of requiring additional ninja protection. It will protect one while making the Uchiha clan calm down since they have been giving the Itachi a hard time recently regarding his support of me. It will redirect their mental energies into thinking Itachi has earned himself a high standing as a ninja among your military ranks and keep them quiet for a time," said Naruto with the fire daimyo nodding since he planned to do that anyway. "What of Jiraiya of the Sannin? Can he be trusted?" asked the fire daimyo with Naruto thinking about the man for a second. "For the moment, yes, he can be trusted. The information about the Sandaime Hokage and Orochimaru working together with this invasion after all these years has shaken his faith in his sensei greatly. I have done all that I can to convince him that what the Sandaime is doing is wrong and must be stopped. He will stop Orochimaru and his forces right outside Konoha's walls. But if you are asking me if he will fight the Sandaime in an actual fight between opponents, my answer to you is an immediate no. He won't fight his old sensei," replied Naruto with the fire daimyo letting out a sad sigh at having the most promising of the three Sannin still fall so far with the other two being no better in regards to their own past actions. One Sannin was a scheming monster who performed inhumane experiments on people. The other Sannin was a bitter woman and mean drunk who blamed one innocent person for the death of another. We'll deal with them when the time is right. Carry out your duties, my boy. Crush all who stand in your way, commanded the fire daimyo firmly to Naruto, who nodded once at the order. As you command, Daimyo-sama, said Naruto before he left in a swirl of leaves. The boy is making great progress, remarked Saito, as he was in the room with the two, and performing his bodyguard duties in protecting the fire daimyo. I know. But there is still much for him to do, and I worry for him. Even now, I feel it isn't right to put so much on one so young, but at the same time I know Naruto is our best bet to fixing this situation, replied the fire daimyo with Saito smirking. The boy is strong. Like his father and mother before him. He has made them proud so far. I do not expect him to fail anytime soon in the coming days, replied Saito with the fire daimyo nodding. I pray you are right, my friend. I pray you are right, said the fire daimyo knowing the boy's mettle would be tested soon in the coming days. A marriage contract? With the demon brat? Him? Out of everyone in Konoha? We did not agree to this, Hayashi, protested a Hyuga elder among the Hyuga clan, who had always tried to enforce the power of his position within the clan. You don't have to agree with this, because your authority does not extend that far, said Hayashi calmly, though it was clear his temper was running short and thin with the elders due to their actions in trying to move in on clan matters meant to be handled by the clan head. According to who? Demanded the elder while Hayashi glared at him. To me. As well as the laws of this clan. Hinata is my daughter, and if I wish to set up an arranged marriage with Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto I will, said Hayashi with the elder fuming at him for this. That boy is unstable. A mistake if there ever was one. Even if his current position is highly favorable with the fire daimyo, he is still beneath the Hyuga clan, and your daughter, despite her own low status within the clan. I will not approve of this union. I will appeal this act before the fire daimyo himself if I must, exclaimed the Hyuga elder while Hayashi's glare intensified. Appeal all you wish. The fire daimyo approved it himself. Until a legitimate reason does in fact arises in the future, the arranged marriage between my daughter and one Uzumaki Naruto is going to stand. I will not tolerate anyone usurping my authority on this clan matter. Am I understood? Declared Hayashi with the Hyuga elders grumbling. None of the people in the room liked this move. Word had spread about this arranged marriage like wildfire throughout the clan. Many in the branch family were thrilled to know Hinata was going to marry such an influential figure close to the fire daimyo and was also part of the ancient Uzumaki clan. Many branch family members knew all about the Uzumaki clan because of the clan's skill with seals being second to none. They had first hoped that with Namikaze Minato becoming the Hokage, as well as marrying one Uzumaki Kushina, the two would and could come up with a way to save the branch family of the Hyuga clan from the oppression that the caged bird seal represented to them. When the two died and Jiraiya went off to do whatever it was that Jiraiya did outside of Konoha, the hope of the Hyuga branch family died. Jiraiya himself didn't really care about the Hyuga clan and only entertained the idea of helping them because Minato did after becoming Hokage. But now with Naruto being their son, he would have access to their clan library, everything about seals at his fingertips. and could save the Hyuga clan from what could be an inevitable civil war within the clan itself. Of course, the Fire Daimyo's Harbinger would need a reason to even get involved in such a messy affair of another clan. Hence where Hinata would come into play. The girl hated the cage bird seal. Always have since she first saw it used and didn't like the idea of causing family pain. It had earned the girl the love of the branch, but the scorn of the main family. The only true exception among the branch family was Niji, and while many sympathized with the boy over the loss of his father, they didn't see the need to punish the girl for being unable to defend herself within her own home at the age of 3. If anything, the adults of the clan should be ashamed for letting the incident get that far under their very noses before the kidnapper was caught. Hayashi. Hayashi. I must speak with you still on this matter, exclaimed the Hyuga elder while Hayashi sighed and turned around in the hallway to see the older man huffing with much effort toward the clan head's direction. What is it, father? I am busy, said Hayashi with his father looking like he ran a mile, and it showed just how old the man was that him rushing just a few feet had winded him. Not surprising since the elderly of the two had long since stopped exercising his muscles in terms of training and was acting more like an old politician. This marriage between your daughter and that boy. It is a mistake, said Hayashi's father with Hayashi himself sighing again. And how is it a mistake, father? The boy has a direct line to the Fire Daimyo. When he gets older, Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto will be one of the most influential people in all of Fire Country. I would think on a political scale, the Hyuga clan would embrace this idea to further our standing. Instead, you reject it. One would think you are not a patriot of Konoha or Fire Country as a whole, replied Hayashi with his father glaring at him. As an elder of the clan, I have to accept this idea, if only for the political reasons behind it. But I also despise the idea of letting that thing mixing with our own pure Hyuga clan blood. He is not worth the filth the branch family cleans off our clan compound floors every day, and you know it. I don't care if he is the son of the Yondaime or the son of the Uzumaki clan heiress. The boy is garbage. He should have been killed the night of his birth, and I would have done it myself if I had been given the chance, stated the elder man while Hayashi frowned at this since he saw the slightly panic-filled look in his father's eyes. Don't try to hide behind clan lineage and nobility with me, father. I know the real reason you fear the boy and Hinata marrying. You, along with the other Hyuga elders, fear that the boy will one day become a seal master like his parents. You fear he will find a way to free the branch family of the cage bird seal with Hinata influencing him to do it after they marry, remarked Hayashi with his father's face getting red with anger. The branch family is meant to serve. The main family rules over the Hyuga clan and has since the forming of the clan. The weak have no business being on equal footing as the strong, said Hayashi's father while Hayashi himself clenched his teeth and an image of his brother manifested in his mind. Hisashi was far from weak in his mind. If that were indeed true, father, then why are you not branded with the cage bird seal for being so weak and filled with fear for the future? Remarked Hayashi before walking away from his stunned and angry father. You all know the rules here. I am the rules. If I give the order to stop fighting, you stop fighting. If you get out line, I'll put you back in line, and I will do it by force. Are we clear? Said Naruto while looking at the candidates, to be Chunin standing in front of him. Out of all the candidates here, 3 genin were from Suna, and 4 were from Konoha. The one Gaara killed a month ago, to be unlucky participant number 8, was dead, so he didn't count. Yes, said Temari while seeing Gaara and Kankuro nod while the others did too. In the stands, the Fire Daimyo sat with his fellow feudal lords, each looking at Naruto in an appraising fashion. They had heard about what he had done for the boy in taking him in and making sure the blonde could handle himself in the face of adversity. To think that someone so young would be the personal harbinger of a daimyo at Naruto's age was what many would think to be unprecedented. But here the boy currently was, standing in the middle of the arena as the head proctor for the Chunin exam finals, enforcing his own will, and by extension the will of the Fire Daimyo himself. That boy is something else, my friend, remarked Suna's Wind Daimyo while he saw him addressing the Suna ninja before looking at the ones from Konoha. Agreed. Such potential was almost wasted here in Konoha. All that abuse they put that boy through was cruel and inhumane, replied the Fire Daimyo. It makes you wonder what our own shinobi villages are hiding from us with their own Jinchuriki, remarked the Earth Daimyo since he had trusted the Sandaime Tsuchikage with running IWA without his supervision. Though given the abuse Naruto suffered in what was supposed to be the most peaceful of the ninja villages, the Earth Daimyo wasn't so sure anymore. In fact, the man decided he would make his own personal inquiry in his ninja villages about the two Jinchuriki who resided there after he returned to his nation. At the moment, the Sandaime Hokage was preparing to announce the start of the Chunin exams with the Kazekage sitting in a chair beside him. The two shook hands, greeted each other in a friendly manner, and smiled at one another. Of course the Sandaime knew the man sitting next to him wasn't the actual Kazekage, but Orochimaru himself currently in the dead man's robes. They each gave the other a knowing look in the belief their plan would come to fruition and make Konoha great in their own way. As for Orochimaru, one of the reasons he was going along with this little invasion plan his old sensei came up with was become the next Hokage in the aftermath of the attack. Of course, there would be opposition to this violent transition, which was one the Sannin had planned to knock down key targets and key people within Konoha who would no doubt oppose his future rule over. From certain ninja to various people among the clans in Konoha, who knew just how vile Orochimaru truly was, and would not support him as the new Hokage when the dust cleared with him being victorious over his enemies. Once those individuals were removed, their successors would fall in line, and so would their clans once they realized resistance was futile. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to present to you this year's Chunin exams. Let the matches begin, exclaimed the Sandaime with the crowd cheering. It should be me down there. I should be fighting and advancing in rank, exclaimed Sasuke angrily while Kakashi put a hand on his student's shoulder. Calm down Sasuke. You'll get your chance against next time, said Kakashi while he was reading his Ika Paradise book. I don't want a next time, Kakashi-sensei. I want my time to be now, demanded Sasuke with Kakashi sighing and eyeing his student slightly to see the Uchiha scowling heavily. We can't always get what we want, Sasuke. We just have to deal with the cards dealt to us, advised Kakashi with the Jounin seeing Sasuke scowling further. If that were true, the loser down there wouldn't be the head proctor, remarked Sasuke with Kakashi sighing again. One day soon Sasuke, you will learn that not everything can be handed to you, and must be earned through hard work. Your pride is your biggest weakness here. Regardless of what your father may tell you, the Uchiha clan is not invincible. That kind of thinking can get you killed. Thought Kakashi while wishing his situation with Sasuke wasn't such a pain in the ass to keep the boy from jumping off the handle because he wasn't chosen for something important at every turn. Sabaku no Temari vs. Nara Shikamaru. Ready? Fight, exclaimed Naruto with the two getting ready for a fight. Well, Temari was anyway. Troublesome. Not only do I have to fight first, but I have to fight a girl, said Shikamaru to himself, which made Temari angry at the fact he wasn't taking her seriously because of her gender. I am going to mess him up for that, thought Temari angrily, as she decided to go for the very direct approach here, and use her still folded fan as a club to smack the Nara down into the ground. Oh crap, thought Shikamaru, as his eyes widened in shock and horror at seeing that look in Temari's eyes that his own mother had when his father did something stupid to tick her off. Come back here and take your beating like a man, exclaimed Temari, as she saw him moving pretty fast for a usually lazy bum. I am taking my beating like man. A man doesn't take beatings from angry women. He runs from them for as long as possible. Troublesome woman, mumbled Shikamaru, but Temari heard him all the same and got even angrier. Troublesome woman? I'm a troublesome woman? I'll give you a troublesome woman. Kamaitachi no Jutsu, exclaimed Temari before unleashing her fury in a powerful wind jutsu that sent Shikamaru flying into the wall behind him. Ow. She wins. I give up, mumbled Shikamaru before he slowly fell off the wall and his body imprint for the slightly softer ground. Winner. Sabaku no Temari, exclaimed Naruto with most of the crowd booing at how quickly the match ended, Shikamaru for losing, and Temari for winning. Call me troublesome will you, thought Temari, before giving Naruto a wink and walked away. In the stands, a certain Hyuga girl frowned. Aburame Shino vs. Sabaku no Kankuro. Both combatants please come down, said Naruto while the puppet user glanced at Shino before looking at his siblings. Proctor I forfeit, declared Kankuro with Shino narrowing his eyes at him. He's saving his strength for something later. But what, thought Shino curiously while Naruto announced Kankuro lost by forfeit and the winner was the Aburame. Smart move brother, commented Temari with Kankuro nodding since the siblings and Baki had a major talk following the blonde Kunoichi's talk with Naruto about their father and Kazekage being a fake. Baki had sent word to one of his most trusted ninja back on Suna to investigate the claim by having one of the ninja patrols move in the area where the coordinates, given to them by Naruto though. They could not prove it, for where the Kazekage's body was actually located. Sure enough, upon getting there, the man's body was found, and stripped of his Kazekage robes. By this point, the impersonator of the Kazekage, who was Orochimaru, had already left Suna for Konoha under the guise to see the Suna siblings compete in the Chunin exam finals and prepare the final stages of his invasion plan in secret from within Konoha itself. As things stood, news went to all trusted Jounin and Chunin of Suna partaking in the attack on Konoha about what happened to the actual Kazekage. Following that, Baki had paid a visit to Naruto in secret the night prior to explain what was going on. And that Suna was once again an ally with Konoha to fight Orochimaru along with the Sannin Sound Ninja. As for Naruto, he accepted Baki's announcement of this news well, and told the Suna Jounin that the Fire Daimyo would be speaking to his counterpart in Win to ensure that Suna was not denied any more missions it needed to survive financially. In fact, with the way things were heading, Naruto hinted that the Fire Daimyo might even decide to send a few missions Suna's way. And all of them would be high-ranking, high-paying jobs too that Suna would be best suited for. Of course, this was all on the contingent that Suna crushed Sound during the attack, and that Orochimaru was crushed. Whether the Sannin escaped with his forces or not wasn't hinged on Suna getting those high-paying missions from the Fire Daimyo in the future. But Naruto also hinted that to Baki that it couldn't hurt to go that extra mile in killing the snake that had been a thorn in everyone's side since the day he went rogue. Even if Suna Ninja didn't personally kill Orochimaru, the fact they crippled his forces would be more than enough to get clients interested in them. Naturally, Baki understood completely, with word spreading through the ranks of Suna to kill the snake Sannin Orochimaru on sight during the attack if they encounter him. No exceptions. Gaara had a look on his face like his birthday had come early and someone had given him a pile of ninja to kill as a present when he heard the news. For what is soon to come, I'll need all my chakra and skills in the fighting, whispered Kankuro while Gaara was looking eager to fight now. Akimichi Choji vs Rock Lee. Will both contestants please come down, said Naruto, with both fighters descending to the arena floor. Both had proven their stuff against what remained of their teams during the preliminaries a month ago when facing other Konoha ninja. Ino fought against Kiba, with the latter of the two winning because of Akamaru sneaking up behind the girl when she was about to use her family's mind transfer jutsu before peeing on the platinum blonde's leg. Ino had shrieked in anger, complaining about being peed on and had forfeit so she could head to the nearest bathroom or shower to wash off the dog's urine from her leg. Her sensei Asuma just sighed heavily in embarrassment, and so did fellow teammates, groaning over what she did. Choji had been able to handle himself well against Tenten. The Akimichi had not given the Kunoichi the time to get her weapons ready to launch at him and the body expansion jutsu to turn into a giant human wrecking. As such, when Tenten tried to launch an attack against Choji, she was hit hard by the massive ball of flesh, which sent her to the wall and knocked the Kunoichi out cold. Naturally, Lee took offense to this loss and vowed to regain Tenten's lost honor with his flames of youth should he fight Choji in the finals. Tenten herself groaned when she heard this after waking up and smacked Lee upside the head before shaking him in a comical yet violent fashion. Tenten kept going on about how she was not a damsel in distress, didn't need to be saved like one, and intended to beat Lee into the ground when cleared by the medics. And on a side note for Lee, he got more running done for the first week following that little declaration by Tenten than he had in 2 months prior. Who knew being chased by an angry Kunoichi with a massive club could be so beneficial to training? Yash. I shall win this match in honor of my teammate you defeated a month ago. My flames of youth will not be stopped, declared Lee passionately while Tenten slapped her head in embarrassment. Why do I have to be the one with the crazy teammate? Asked Tenten to herself while Guy let out a hearty laugh next to her. Lee is just being Lee, my student. Support him in his fight. That is what teammates do, said Guy with Tenten glaring at him between her fingers. If only I hadn't lost in the preliminaries, thought Tenten while inwardly crying anime tears inside, knowing this was going to be a while before her sensei and teammate let this go. If at all. Ready? Fight, exclaimed Naruto while Lee shot forward at high speed, with the mission being to win this fight quickly yet gracefully like Guy sensei taught him. Body expansion jutsu, exclaimed Choji since he knew Lee was going to charge in right away, given his fighting stance and tensing legs. As expected, the blow hit Choji hard, but the massive body expansion, as the name of the jutsu implied, the increased mass of the boy was able to absorb most of the blow itself. It still hurt, but not as much as it would have without the jutsu being done prior to the hit. As for Choji, he went bouncing back, but quickly recovered before going into a roll and charging toward Lee head-on. Lee, seeing this, quickly moved out of the way, waiting for Choji to reverse his direction and attack again in his giant boulder-like form. To Lee's surprise, Choji bounced himself into the air, returned to normal size, and then proceeded to make his entire right arm become huge before slamming it down with a mighty crash that destroyed the landscape in the process. Lee was able to escape, of course, but he wasn't about to charge in without assessing his opponent's action and dodged the giant moving arm heading his way. After dodging 2 more additional strikes by the Akimichi's giant right arm, Lee surprised Choji by jumping on top of it, then he rushed forward and with a yell, jump-kicked the big-boned boy right in the face. The hit itself sent Choji flying back, hitting the ground and bouncing several times before his body impacted against the stadium wall. The poor boy was down and out. "Winner, Rock Lee," exclaimed Naruto with the crowd cheering at such a display of skill by both Leaf Genin. In the Kage booth, the Sandaime Hokage glared at Naruto, despite the fact the boy was ignoring it, and him to that extent before glancing over at Orochimaru under the disguise of the Kazekage. The time was almost upon them. Soon Konoha would be reborn through the chaos they created in this coming battle. Suna would be disgraced for being seen as backstabbers of their allies. Hiruzen's own successor of his choosing was ironically his very killer in Orochimaru. And soon the Fire Daimyo would be forced to see things as they were meant to be seen, once secretly taken away through it all. Yamanaka Fu would do a bit of mental manipulation on the feudal lord's mind before sending him back to his palace after stripping Naruto of the man's protection. Once that happened, the boy could be turned into a proper weapon with Jiraiya's help with some seals and other means to turning Naruto into an obedient yet dumb weapon. "It's almost time, my student," whispered Hiruzen with Orochimaru nodding while he was salivating inside at the idea of taking over Konoha while becoming Hokage and gaining a few test subjects with the Sharingan in them. "Indeed, sensei. Soon we will get what is coming to us," replied Orochimaru since he had plans for Naruto and Sasuke due to their own powers as well as bloodlines. "Will both Sabaku no Gaara and Sabaku no Temari come down?" said Naruto with Gaara doing that, but Temari not moving an inch. "I forfeit," exclaimed Temari since she didn't want to fight Gaara and needed to conserve strength for the invasion. "Winner by forfeit is Sabaku no Gaara," exclaimed Naruto while the crowd booed the Suna Kunoichi since they wanted to see her get hurt. "Now," thought Hiruzen before he nodded to Orochimaru, who in turn gave the signal one of his sound ninja, given in Konoha ANBU uniform to make it easier to move within the stadium in order to get into position. Kabuto was supposed to do this part, but with his capture after the preliminaries started, and his detainment being so tight that not even the Sandaime Hokage could help without it raising suspicion. The Fire Daimyo had heard of the young boy being a possible spy for Sound and had ordered Kabuto be held in highest security-based cell in Konoha. The man had also ordered that anyone being ordered to set Kabuto free or be transferred to another cell by anyone were going against the feudal lord's wishes, and thus would be arrested for treason against Fire Country as a whole. This meant that the Hokage could not tell his ANBU watching over Kabuto to let him out or transfer the boy to a new less secure cell in order to provide an escape needed to return to Orochimaru's side. Not only that, but the Hokage was sure any kind of jailbreak would have earned him the Fire Daimyo's wrath for being incompetent in his job, possibly ordering the elderly man to step down before the Chunin exams and be replaced with someone else of the feudal lord's choosing. Not that it mattered since in a matter of moments, the trap would be sprung, and the Fire Daimyo would soon learn what it meant to cross the professor of Konoha. Soon after the signal was given, the Genjutsu fell upon the stadium in the form of white feathers that started putting people to sleep. The civilians fell asleep easily, too stunned in awe and stupidity to realize they were being put in a trap. An explosion rang out in the Kage booth as the staged fight was about to happen, and Konoha ninja were set to do battle with Suna as well as Sound. Only when the trap got to that part, things turned out differently, and not for the better if you were from Sound. Suna's forces knew who the sleeper agents from Sound were prior to the attack, and struck out as such against their supposed allies for this mission. Konoha was also surprised to see so many Suna ninja in the stadium and even more surprised to see them fighting against Sound Ninja instead of with them. Several of the Konoha ninja in the stadium had been informed of the invasion by Hiruzen and how Suna was allying with Sound. Hiruzen had tried to play it off that the trap being sprung by Orochimaru was going to backfire in his face by using that trap against the Sannin. Only to see it did indeed backfire in more than one way. Several Suna ninja had informed the more confused and wary Konoha ninja about how their Kazekage had been killed by Orochimaru in order to impersonate the man so he could get close to the Hokage. An action they neither condoned or were going to tolerate anytime soon while intending to make the Sannin's treachery be his undoing. As this was going on, the secret army of samurai of the Fire Daimyo had smuggled and were joining the battle, and confirmed what the Suna ninja had told them. As such, the samurai had told them to obey the Fire Daimyo in not only repelling Sound, but assisting Suna ninja in fighting them, and there would be severe consequences for any who disobeyed. As for the forces outside of Konoha's walls, Jiraiya was using his small army of large toads the size of horses in battle armor to cut down the large pockets of Sound ninja in position to strike. Once the various Suna summoning teams took down the walls with their temporary snake summoning scrolls Orochimaru had provided them, the army of Sound ninja would swarm in. Kill everyone in sight wearing a Konoha headband, and any of the specially assigned targets made known to them. Jiraiya's ambush on them put the kibosh on that. To think you would go so far as to leave scars on this village, before you died, sensei. Has your mind gone that far off the reservation? Has your will of fire been that corrupted? Have I been corrupted by your way of doing things? Thinking what you think and not what I think, thought Jiraiya, as he had been reflecting on his past actions since Naruto had helped bring several disturbing things to his attention. And made him do a lot of soul-searching. The toads had been a big help there too when he reverse-summoned himself there to seek their guidance, after beating him almost within an inch of his life. You need to realize your shame, Jiraiya. Minato would not have wanted his son to suffer for the glory of the village. He wanted both, and it was his naive selfishness that caused his only child to suffer for most of his childhood. Remind yourself of him and what he wanted for his son before you listen to an old monkey with delusions of grandeur mixed with greed and lust for power not his own to command. The toads had given Jiraiya this once and only once in a lifetime only chance at possible redemption for himself. If he fucked it up and betrayed Naruto again for whatever stupid reason he came up with, the toads were going to fuck him up. Now I can only hope Tsunade can be reached. The death of Dan, Nawaki, and Kushina really hurt the woman. The last one only gave her an easy target to lash out in the form of Naruto. I'll admit, I was the same way for a time, but now I know better, and damn, do I feel stupid for letting all those years go to waste. Thought Jiraiya while crushing the last group of Sound Ninja while seeing the Suna Ninja arrive and surrender the temporary snake summoning scrolls to him. He would need to look into these things later. Naruto cut down a nearby Sound Ninja with his sword. This was the 20th death by his hands so far since this invasion started. In the stands, Itachi, Shizune, and Saido were protecting the Fire Daimyo along with several other daimyos from harm. Knowing they were holding their own in a tight-knit group helped Naruto focus more on the task in front of him. Cutting down one Sound Ninja after the next with his sword, using one-hand signs before slamming onto the ground to hit several with a stone spikes jutsu that impaled his targets. Throwing kunai at several in their blind spots. Saving a nearby jounin from being hit in the back despite the fact that same jounin might have had a hand in his suffering even if the blonde couldn't remember or recognize the face of the jounin he saved. Suddenly, Naruto's senses alerted him to someone from behind, and dodged just in time to avoid a punch aimed at his face. Leaping back via a handstand, Naruto saw the fist aimed at him belonged to one Senju Tsunade, and it was clear her attempt to hit him was no accident. The woman was out for blood. His blood, in fact. Apparently, from what Naruto had learned, the woman forced herself to get over the fear of the crimson liquid that all humans, and most organic creatures on this planet had in their bodies. Tsunade knew that sooner or later she would have to confront her fear, if only to get closer enough to kill Naruto, and prevent him from using it against her. Regardless if he knew the weakness or not. Hold still, brat, exclaimed Tsunade while glaring heavily at Naruto. Why? So you can kill me? My mother would be so thrilled to know you're trying to kill her only child, remarked Naruto with heavy sarcasm. You are unworthy of being Kushina's son. Any child who kills their own mother on the night of their own birth doesn't deserve to live, countered Tsunade with a madness in her eyes now that made Naruto's eyes narrow. Something was wrong here. The woman's eyes were slightly glazed. An almost hypnotic form of suggestion in them. An influence not her own was in those eyes. Something that was making her go against her actual self and principles. Could Tsunade be under a genjutsu of some kind? But how? And by who? Do you really believe that line of thinking, Tsunade? Or did someone quietly plant that suggestion in your head? Asked Naruto while leaping back while the woman became angry and tried to smash him to pieces with her fists. The madness in her eyes getting stronger. Shut up. I don't have to answer a murderer like you, exclaimed Tsunade while she kept trying to hit him with one of her super punches. And I don't have to be judged by a woman who would easily betray her grandfather and grandmother in such a profound way by killing a member of their family. Or have you forgotten your grandmother was an Uzumaki? That the Senju were the cousins of the Uzumaki clan? I didn't take you to have the mindset of an Uchiha. Naruto spat back while ducking under one of her punches when she got close and landed a punch of his own into her gut with enough force behind it to send the woman skidding back. You dare accuse me of being like the Uchiha? The Uchiha are scum. Betrayers. They would sooner kill each other if it meant a path to power, exclaimed Tsunade while the madness in her seemed to shift, turn on itself. And Naruto saw a conflict within her even when she tried to keep fighting. And how is your willingness to betray your kin simply because of something that was not even or the Kyuubi's fault any better? What do you think your grandparents would say if they saw you now? Saw the way you acted toward me? How you left me in the care of bigots and hate-filled morons? They would be ashamed you, exclaimed Naruto, as he got inside her guard one more time, kneed the woman in the stomach before head-butting her hard, and sent Tsunade flying back with a dazed look. Kill Uzumaki Naruto. He took Kushina from you. Kill him in the name of justice. What? What was that? Thought Tsunade while she struggled to focus and wondered if she was hearing things. Kurama, can you see it? She's not herself, thought Naruto with the fox in him nodding. Agreed. She is under a powerful genjutsu. One that attacks the mind and turns the person against those they would normally love. That look is similar to, I don't believe it, exclaimed Kurama while Naruto frowned. What? What is it? Thought Naruto with the fox, growling in anger. I know that look anywhere. That look Tsunade is sporting is similar to my own when I was influenced by the Sharingan. And Uchiha, roared Kurama in anger. An Uchiha? Meaning, the Sharingan was involved. But, why would someone do that to her? Who would do that to her? Who could do that to her? Thought Naruto with Kurama growling heavier in anger. The list is short. All of who are in the Uchiha clan. Madara could do it of course, but I doubt he ever got close enough to Tsunade if he is still alive. There is also the masked ninja claiming to be him. It could also be any single person within the Uchiha clan. Even Uchiha Itachi, said Kurama with Naruto frowning. Itachi wouldn't do that to us. He may have the Sharingan and is an Uchiha, but the man is not like that, thought Naruto with Kurama reluctantly nodding. For an Uchiha, he is indeed a different cut above the rest. A rather bright light in a rather dark clan like the Uchiha. Still, it doesn't mean you should not ask him about this further once we have detained the genjutsu-influenced Senju here. As much as I would like to see her get dragged through the mud figuratively and literally, I would only wish it provided her actions were her own. Said Kurama since he knew it would be like blaming him for the entire attack on Konoha after being ripped out of Kushina by the masked Uchiha before the Sharingan I made him go on a rampage. Agreed, thought Naruto before refocusing on Tsunade, as the woman clutched her head in pain, and it was clear his head butting had weakened the genjutsu's hold on her mind. I'm not like the Uchiha. I'm not. Grandfather, grandmother, they would be on my side. Wouldn't you? Mumbled Tsunade to herself before she screamed out and fell to the ground while clutching her head in pain. It seems you were correct. She is in pain. The genjutsu her mind is suffering from has been weakened to make her question the actions taken against you in the past. You need to knock her out and get the woman out of here, said Kurama knowing that this woman would be a target if left alone here on the battlefield. Moving swiftly, Naruto hit Tsunade with a chop to the back of her neck, and quickly got her to where the fire Daimyo was being protected. At first, the fire daimyo was unsure of why Naruto brought the woman to him, but a brief explanation of what he saw made the feudal lord understand while Itachi frowned and told those around him that he knew who could have put Tsunade under such a genjutsu. Uchiha Shursui. I will want this dealt with accordingly, Itachi. As one of your first duties as the new Hokage of Konoha when this invasion is over, ordered the fire daimyo while Itachi nodded knowing he would want answers too. Enjoying yourself I see, commented Naruto to Gaara while he unleashed his fury on the sound ninja coming after him. I can't complain, Naruto-san. Mother is actually happy right now with the chaos of battle surrounding us, said Gaara since Shikaku was indeed quite happy at this moment in its vessel killing so many sound ninja. Glad I could make such a thing reality, replied Naruto before he shifted from using his sword to bow staff and began smashing people's skulls in. My sister is interested in you, remarked Gaara offhandedly while Naruto smirked since he figured as much. Gaara. You weren't supposed to tell him, exclaimed Temari while looking away from the two while blushing at her little brother's bluntness on the subject. Why couldn't it be Kankuro who told him? At least she could beat him up for being an idiot. I thought he should know. You weren't exactly forthcoming with your intentions when you first spoke to him, said Gaara while Kankuro snickered at Temari's embarrassed and red face. Women don't do that right away, yelled Temari before lashing out at a group of sound ninja with her fan and wind jutsus that sent them colliding into the arena wall with death being instant upon impact. Really? Kankuro seems to think differently when I questioned him on the matter about you courting the Namikes, replied Gaara while Kankuro looked scared and nervous with Temari glowering at the puppet master. When this is over, Kankuro, I am going to kick your ass, exclaimed Temari while she attacked decisively following each of those last 3 words spoken. I almost wish Gaara would go psycho and kill me out of spite, thought Kankuro while he cried anime tears and weeping for his life. His sister was going to beat him up so badly when this was over. What do you think, Kurama, thought Naruto with Kurama snorting at this. If there is one thing I will never understand, it is the females of your species. I didn't understand Mito or Kushina back then and I don't understand any of them now, said Kurama with Naruto not disagreeing with him. Elsewhere, Uchiha Sasuke was fighting the enemy sound ninja around him with Kakashi while Sakura did her best to fight when she did. Though it was quite clear the girl had to increase her training regimen and spend time learning from her sensei in various ninja fields. Since her team had been kicked out the Chunin exams due to Sasuke, the girl had spent most her time trying to getting Sasuke's attention over actual training. Something that Kakashi knew he would have to eventually stamp out of her, provided they all lived through this. Back to Sasuke, the Uchiha himself was scowling since he saw Naruto still in the center of the arena, fighting wave after wave of sound ninja heading his way. It made the boy's pride take a major hit since he didn't think Naruto was worth the effort of so many ninja to kill. Why should they go after the blonde in the first place? He was a nobody. It didn't matter if Naruto was the Yandame's son. The man was Hokage for a short time and died sealing the Biju into his worthless offspring, who only got recognition because of the so-called abuse suffered while in Konoha. Big deal. The Uchiha had a massive history that descended to the time of the Warring Clans era. Even if Naruto was half Uzumaki, it did not mean anything to Sasuke, and apparently the majority of Konoha too if their opinion of the blonde was anything to go by. As the more Sasuke thought about it, the angrier he became at Naruto for being so strong, to have the support and respect of his big brother Itachi. Sasuke had longed for the day where recognition from Itachi would mean he was no longer in his older brother's shadow in front of the entire Uchiha clan. Their father would go on and on about Itachi this, and Itachi that, while giving Sasuke a bare minimum of support. It was only after Itachi was given the assignment to train and watch over the Yandame's son by the fire daimyo himself did the Uchiha clan head focus on his youngest more. At first, Sasuke was very happy that his father was focusing on him more, and praising his youngest for doing so well. That of course changed after wave when Sasuke came to realize that his father was only doing it because Itachi wasn't around to soak up the praise. Sasuke realized that if Itachi had stayed in Konoha, stayed to do missions for the Hokage, their father would keep going on about Itachi, praising the eldest of his 2 sons. And the youngest would be left in older brother's shadow. That blonde is nothing. A waste of Itachi's time. Itachi should have been training me. Not that blonde fool. Me, thought Sasuke angrily before stabbing one sound ninja in the head with a kunai. Focus, Sasuke. I can sense your emotions clearly. Focus on the enemy, said Kakashi while he moved closer to Guy and repel those aimed at his rival of sorts. Yes. Focus on my enemy, thought Sasuke while his eyes moved from the sound ninja around him to Naruto, who was besting the last of them, and focused on talking to the Suna siblings. It was time to test out his new jutsu that Kakashi had him learn this past month. The sudden sound of birds chirping got Naruto's attention long before he turned around in time to see Sasuke charging at him with a fist filled with lightning. In the stands behind the Uchiha, the boy sensei had turned his head to look on in shock and horror at Sasuke now with his Sharingan eyes active. Had the silver-haired man looked at Sasuke's eyes, he would see they were blazing with jealousy and hatred for Naruto while aiming this specific jutsu at the Namikaze. So the little green monster in Itachi's little brother has finally revealed itself. Figures it would be now of all times, thought Naruto while Kurama growled inside his head. I knew it. I knew it. We went to Wave to save your father's last remaining student and his genin team simply because Itachi's little brother was on it. Only for us to save a power-hungry fool who wants to remove you. And by extension me from this world simply because his overinflated ego can't handle the fact someone is better than him, exclaimed Kurama angrily while giving Naruto a "I told you so" look. I know Kurama, but you know I owed Itachi a lot, and I was paying him back in Wave by helping him with his little brother. It's not his fault Sasuke is a total asshole, thought Naruto with Kurama growling a little louder. No. I suppose not. Still, I think it's time you emphasized your own superiority over this Uchiha a bit more by making him regret coming at you with this little ball of lightning in his hand. Remarked Kurama with Naruto nodding and focusing on Sasuke getting closer with the intent of running his right hand through the blonde's chest. Wind style, Tempest Shield, exclaimed Naruto before going through one-handed hand signs, before having the back of his index and middle finger pointing upward. The end result was a massive violent wind forming around him like a shield similar to the Hyuga's Katen, but instead of spinning around physically to cause the rotation, Naruto used his wind affinity to spin the wind itself around him from different directions. It was actually like creating a Rasengan more than a Katen, but the difference was the wind was spinning around his form in a protective shield-like manner. And it was perfect a case like this when fighting against an attack like the one due to the literal nature of the attack Sasuke was using, since wind was stronger than lightning. Not that Sasuke noticed this or even cared. The Uchiha thought he was invincible due to his clan being so old and powerful. That he could simply overpower it or that an Uchiha, like himself, was immune to the rules regarding the elements. Once the lightning-filled hand met the shield of wind spinning around Naruto, the fist was totally destroyed, and upon the two jutsus ending left Sasuke without a hand. Just a nice cauterized stump of a wrist. There wasn't even a blood stain on the ground or any type of remains that was once Sasuke's hand. It took Sasuke a good 10 seconds to realize his hand was gone before screaming out in pain and falling to his knees because of it. The screams from the Uchiha were music to Kurama's ears, and Naruto, despite not having any ill will towards Sasuke, could only look on at the boy with pity. The punishment for attacking a member of the Fire Daimyo's forces was a heavy penalty, as it was seen as an attack on the Fire Daimyo himself, and was not tolerated in the slightest. Add to the fact it was a Konoha ninja, regardless of the rank, it was an act of treason, and would only be the final nail on the coffin that was Sasuke's short life. Poor Itachi. Now he will have to figure out how to save his little brother from the Fire Daimyo, though I doubt it will be that simple. Or easy, thought Naruto before knocking the Uchiha out cold with a strike to the head with his bow staff. You didn't kill him, remarked Gaara while Naruto smirked at the confused Jinchuriki. Death at this point for him would be too merciful. Trust me. The shame his actions will bring upon his clan will make him wish for death, replied Naruto before he picked up the Uchiha and dropped the boy off in front of Itachi and Shizune. Damn it Sasuke. Just like our father. Always hating others who are stronger than you, remarked Itachi while sighing heavily at his foolish brother's unconscious form since he had seen what Sasuke had done. I'll leave him here with you. Right now, I have to stop a false martyr, make himself out to be a hero, replied Naruto while making a shadow clone and have it go to a corner of the stadium where a special parcel had been placed secretly under a genjutsu for this. It was time to expose the monkey and the snake for the cowards they truly were in life. The Hokage and his prized former student had been fighting for some time during the invasion, as they had secretly planned from the start. The overall plan of making Konoha great again revolved around the Sandaime Hokage's patriotic act of heroism in repelling his enemy, dying an honorable death at the hands of Orochimaru. And in his last act as a wonderful Hokage of Konoha, forgive the Sannin for his betrayals. Forgive his former student, and in one last decree, he would make Orochimaru the next Hokage to further enforce his forgiving nature to ensure peace could follow the near destruction of the Leaf Village. That Orochimaru would be able to protect Konoha from his new position and be able to make the village stronger with his brilliant mind. Orochimaru for his part would play the grieving student, of course, fooling both Jiraiya and Tsunade with his act of having a revelation over his past actions. It would take some time and a bit of convincing, but Orochimaru was sure he could get them to forgive his actions in killing the Sandaime, going so far as to name Tsunade and Jiraiya his advisors while kicking Sarutobi's old teammates out in the process, providing key pieces of harsh evidence conveniently found of them doing things against the Hokage's back, but with plans to assist Danzo in the overthrowing of the Sandaime. With many on the councils giving Konoha and Fire Country as a whole a mean black eye due to their actions against the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. It wouldn't be that hard on the Sannin's part to succeed in kicking many of the old guard out of their seats of power and onto the executioner's block. By the time everything calmed down, Orochimaru would have the loyalty of Konoha majority, Danzo's root since he was once a member of it himself, and manipulate things where an Uchiha dies on a mission before acquiring one of their eyes to have transplanted into his own like Hitaki Kakashi. With his ability to jump from body to body, it would go a lot easier in perfecting his research with such a dojutsu under his command, and could easily transplant it into each new body. That had been the plan at the time. But now? Now things had changed. The plan was imploding from the inside with the Sound Ninja below taking heavy losses against Konoha and Suna Ninja. Evidence, circumstantial as it may be in their conspiracy that they could do to salvage it, was to fight each other so they could make the people believe in giving them a clean slate. One given upon death of the Hokage and the other upon killing said Hokage of Konoha. It's time, Orochimaru. Let's see if you can defeat your old master in battle, remarked Hiruzen with a smirk on his face that Orochimaru mimicked. As you are now sensei, it won't be too much of an issue for me. Had we faced each other 10 years ago, perhaps I would be concerned, but while you have aged and lived in such an old body, I have never felt younger, replied Orochimaru while bringing about the Edo Tensei to summon the 3 Hokages to the forefront of battle, only to get 2 out of the 3 Hokages with the third coffin collapsing. It may have cost Orochimaru 2 of his subordinates, but he thought it was worth it, and the 2 that were used to bring about the return of 2 of the 3 Hokages were mere underlings. No real value. The third one was the same as the other 2, but why the third coffin didn't work was a bit confusing to the Snake Sannin. Oh well. Summoning 2 out of 3 Hokages back to the land of the living wasn't bad. Not perfect, but still pretty good. We are alive? How? Asked Senju Hashirama while his brother Tobirama looked behind him to see Orochimaru. He summoned us, remarked Tobirama while seeing the Sannin grinning. Your student. My sensei wants to die a warrior's death. What better way to die than to be slain by his 2 predecessors, replied Orochimaru while grinning at Hiruzen, since this was what they planned for their fight. It seems even after our time in this world is over, there is still conflict and war between the different nations, remarked Tobirama with a sigh before hearing a laugh coming from the third coffin before the front was kicked out and a blonde figure stepped out. The jutsu failed. How did the Yondaime come out of it, thought Orochimaru, since he only saw a sliver of blonde hair before seeing the figure get out of the coffin and saw the Sandaime scowling. The blonde-haired figure in question wasn't the Yondaime Hokage at all. Rather, it was his son Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto. It's hardly a war between nations, Tobirama-sama. More like the ambitions of the greedy, the cruel, and the stupid. With these 2 bakas here at the heart of it in the very village you and your brother founded, said Naruto with Orochimaru looking shocked, confused, and angry at seeing the brat here, while Hiruzen just looked angry. What do you mean, young one? Asked Tobirama, curiously, at the boy. Don't listen to him. He seeks to destroy the village from within. Already he has turned the Fire Daimyo against Konoha with his lies, exclaimed Hiruzen in the hopes it would make his 2 predecessors think twice before listening to Naruto. You did that yourself. After all, it was through you that the Uzumaki clan is no longer recognized in Konoha's history books as one of the key clans of the world, much less an important one in this village, countered Naruto while standing in between the first 2 Hokages and the Sandaime. What? Is this true, Hiruzen? Asked Hashirama while Hiruzen scowled at Naruto. Of course it is. He even told people in Konoha about the Kyuubi being sealed inside of me by my own father. Minus the fact my father was the Yondaime Hokage at the time. He even gave the one pale-faced child molester behind you, that is Orochimaru, access to the forbidden scroll of sealing to bring you two back from the dead. Replied Naruto with Orochimaru scowling at the insult. What? Mito's clan is not in Konoha's history books? What about their sealing skills? The whirlpool symbol on the vests of the Jounin as a sign of friendship? Of our alliance? Asked Hashirama while Naruto raising an eyebrow at the Jounin vest part. No. Nothing. I only learned about my clan through the Fire Daimyo, and only because he knew my mother, who was the previous Jinchuriki before me, remarked Naruto with the two Hokages looking shocked by this. So your mother took over for Mito. But what about the Uzumaki clan? Aren't they still around? Asked Hashirama while Naruto shook his head. Officially, the Uzumaki clan has been declared close to near extinction since the end of the Second Shinobi War. They scattered throughout the elemental countries. I found one of them a short while ago, and she is safe, answered Naruto, while Hashirama looked like his heart was about to break. You mentioned these two here were a part of something connected to greed, cruelty, and stupidity. Explain that to us, said Tobirama while he locked eyes with Hiruzen to see the man was not able to look back. As much as I would like for the boy to reveal things to you, I think it would be best if we continue on with what needs to be done, remarked Orochimaru with sealing tags in his hands. Why? Afraid to boast your so-called brilliant plan to the past Hokages? Is it because the said plan is blowing up in your face, beyond this barrier? Because you don't want them to hear how your sensei plotted to turn me into a submissive weapon and spit on their vision of Konoha? How he betrayed the will of fire for power. Betrayed every conviction for the pursuit of power, mocked Naruto, with Orochimaru's face becoming a sneer. Enough. Time to kill, said Orochimaru before put the kunai with seal tags on them into the heads of the former Hokages. But before he could give them command while the seals restored their bodies, Naruto was already in action with seals of his own, which he slapped onto the chest of both Hokages, which spread throughout their bodies before converging to their heads. Frowning at this action, Orochimaru makes a hand sign, and mentally commands both former Hokages to attack the blonde. Only for to see neither Senju was obeying him. Like it? When we caught your spy Kabuto, we made him tell Ibiki and Enko everything while giving the Hokage a false report on our findings. We kept certain things out of it to ensure you believed we didn't know everything while giving the real report to the Fire Daimyo. Kabuto may be a good spy and right-hand man, but the problem with that is he knew many key aspects of your grand plan with the old monkey behind me, including the tags with seals on them to control Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobirama after summoning them using the Edo Tensei. So I had an army of shadow clones lock themselves into the clan library and learn everything they could about seals within the month prior to this moment. While I have a ways to go to be at the level of a seal master, I was able to come up with seals that converged over their intended target and nullify certain aspects of the seal tags you put in their skulls to control them, replied Naruto with Orochimaru looking shocked by this. And by certain aspects, you mean Orochimaru's ability to command them after they were fully rejuvenated, deduced Hiruzen with Naruto turning his head back to glare at the Sandaime. Naturally, you idiot. If the two most powerful Hokages are going to be brought back to life, if only temporarily, I would prefer they spend that time having the ability to act on their own and think for themselves. Orochimaru here can no more command them to do anything than you can, old monkey, replied Naruto with Hiruzen scowling at him. Thank you, young one. Clearly you have the blood of an Uzumaki in your veins if your skills with sealing are this good. Mito would be so proud to know her clan is still alive in some aspects despite everything, said Hashirama with a smile before it became a scowl and aimed his eyes at Hiruzen. Indeed. I think it's time we remind these whelps our power and show them the might of true Hokages, remarked Tobirama while turning to glare at Orochimaru, who felt a cold shiver crawl up his spine. Mind if I join you? I am family after all, said Naruto with Hashirama and Tobirama glancing at each other. Are you sure you can keep up? You are facing our old student and his own in this fight, asked Hashirama with Naruto smirking at the question before slowly drawing his sword and went into his Gadasu sword stance to the shock of the others around him. The stance of a samurai, thought the three Hokages, plus Sannin. I think the real question here, Hashirama-sama, Can you two old formerly dead Kages keep up with me? Remarked Naruto with a smirk on his face, while both former Hokages smirked back at the challenge. Let's find out, replied Tobirama, as he wasn't about to have this youngster outdo him. Agreed. Hiruzen is mine, said Hashirama while getting ready to fight the Sandaime. Same. I owe that man a lot of years for causing me pain and with interest since he tried to manipulate me into being Konoha's weapon long after I returned under the command of the Fire Daimyo, said Naruto while aiming his weapon at Hiruzen. You ungrateful little brat. You wouldn't have lived to the age of 3 if it weren't for my position as Hokage, exclaimed Hiruzen while Hashirama frowned and Naruto just smirked. Perhaps, but you weren't really trying to protect me, so your little proclamation means nothing, replied Naruto while Hiruzen scowled further. Come Snake. Let us see if you are as talented as my idiot student claims you to be when fighting someone of my caliber, remarked Tobirama to the now scared Orochimaru. Tempting, but no. I am going to flee to fight another day. Preferably one without you to stop me, remarked Orochimaru before ordering his bodyguards to lower the barrier. Of course, before they could follow through with it, Tobirama was in front of Orochimaru in a span of a second, and punched the Sannin right in the gut. The force behind launched the pale man right off his feet, gasping for air, and coughing up blood seconds later. As for Tobirama, he wasn't done by a long shot, as he launched punch after punch, kick after kick, and broke bone after bone in the Sannin's body. While his brother may be the better taijutsu specialist between them, it was only a marginal difference at best. Tobirama also knew that the Sannin in front of him was a threat to the world just from his appearance alone and the way he talked around you. That evil-looking smile Orochimaru had earlier didn't help either. To the sides, the Sannin's bodyguards ended the barrier and swarmed over Tobirama in the hopes they could save their master, only for him to vanish from their sight and take them all down 4 seconds later with 1 body per second before refocusing on the now bloodied Orochimaru. The Sannin shed his body to bring about being fully healed, but it took quite a bit out of him and was panting heavily from its use. The means to summon the Edo Tensei required a lot of chakra, as it did when summon anything regardless of what was being called. And given he summoned 2 Hokages along with restoring his body back to normal physical health, he was pretty well drained. Water style, water compression bullets jutsu, exclaimed Tobirama at the Sannin, who found himself flying back with multiple holes in his chest area. And again the Sannin shed his skin to be physically healthy again, though clearly drained of chakra in the process. You won't beat me, Tobirama. You may have been Hokage in your time, but someone such as yourself will never be able to kill someone like me. I am immortal. I am a god, exclaimed Orochimaru, as he launched the Kusanagi blade from his mouth, aiming for the former Hokage's head in order to destroy it. And the seal tag inside to kill his former puppet, where he now stood. Sadly, for the Sannin anyway, the blade missed Tobirama due to the man tilting his head away, and was upon Orochimaru within seconds. Before the pale-faced, missing Nin could do anything, much less blink in surprise at his surprise attack missing its target, Tobirama grabbed as much of the poison-covered blade while still in the Sannin's mouth, and pulled the sword right out. Since the second Hokage was already super strong, ripping it out of Orochimaru's mouth, plus the man's tongue with it was not a problem, and now had the legendary weapon in his hand. As for Ninja on the ground in front of him, Orochimaru was bleed out of the mouth, his chakra spent, and had none left for any jutsu or trick in his arsenal. His bodyguards were down and had no one to provide him with an escape route. Kabuto was captured, locked in a dark cell so tight not even his old sensei or even Danzo could spring his agent from it. WSKT. WSKT, pleaded Orochimaru with the words clearly being wait. Wait, if what Tobirama deciphered correctly about his garbled words. No. I won't. I know what they say about snakes and it holds true for you, Orochimaru. If I give you an inch, you will take a mile. Clearly my stupid former student has given you a mile and you have taken far more. I will not be so merciful or naive as he was in letting a piece of filth like yourself live, remarked Tobirama before stabbing the Sannin in the chest. Knowing the poison would soon spread through the pale man's body, but in the off chance his target had found a way to become immune to it. Cutting off the legs next, Tobirama heard the gurgled screams of the Sannin. And they only intensified when the former second Hokage sliced into the arms up to the shoulders, so they split right down the middle. All Orochimaru could do was cry out in pain, as the former dead Kage standing above him sliced, diced, and slowly chopped up his body while the poison from the blade made any form of regeneration impossible. Tobirama then proceeded to stab Orochimaru in the chest several times before finishing up with a beheading, and stabbing Kusanagi right through the head. He was leaving no chance of the Sannin surviving this ordeal. Meanwhile, as for Hashirama and Naruto, they found themselves working, surprisingly in sync with each other, despite working together for the first time in what would possibly be the only time they would work together. Hashirama met his student first, being the faster one between the two of them, and open palm struck the Sandaime Hokage right in the gut with the force behind it, sending the elderly man flying back. Not to be outdone by the Shodaime Hokage himself, Naruto leaped over Hashirama, using the man's back as a springboard actually, and descended his blade down to strike Hiruzen's upper chest area. The Sandaime dodged the attack, followed by several other sword strikes the blonde sent his way, before leaping away and quickly summoning Enma the Monkey King to become his ever-trusty adamantine staff. From there, Hiruzen blocked the sword strikes and the taijutsu skills of his former sensei while Enma himself talked into his ear about how his past sins were coming back to claim him. Hiruzen for his part scowled at the mention of his actions being sinful and being judged by his own summons for what he did in the past as the Sandaime Hokage. Sure, he betrayed his late successor, manipulated events so the boy in question would suffer and be submissive to the whims of the village. But it was for the greater good. The boy's life was meant to be sacrificed so Konoha could prosper, and the Sandaime had saw fit to make sure it happened like that for the first part of Naruto's childhood. That was the purpose and destiny of a Jinchuriki, after all. Hashirama, Tobirama, and Minato had all been naive in believing Jinchuriki should be treated as people, as equals. Jinchuriki were weapons. Weapons had no rights, no say at what was going to happen to them when growing up. Their purpose was to fight and to die for their village, no matter how they were raised or trained. How could you do it, Hiruzen? How could you betray all that I have taught you? Asked Hashirama before knocking Enma out of the old Kage's hands, grabbed him by the throat while holding him there. Konoha needs to be strong. As such, I had to trim branch. Remove obstacles that would make Konoha weak. Certain allies who I felt needed to be removed back then in the event they learned of my plans for Konoha's future. Starting with your wife's clan. I betrayed the Uzumaki clan during the Second Shinobi War when they asked us for aid because I wanted Konoha to have exclusive rights to Kyuubi. We had Mito's replacement, so I saw no real need to help them, knowing if I did, they would have survived, and demanded that Kushina return with Kyuubi. I couldn't allow that. Konoha had to remain the strongest, and the Uzumaki clan threatened to take everything they gave the village away if we did not follow through with the request at the time. I stalled for months on end while the war continued to escalate, and knew the longer it lasted the harder it was for them to demand anything from us. When the Uzumaki clan fell, I set things in motion to slowly remove the Uzumaki clan from the history books and records of Konoha. Even the old Uzumaki clan mask shrine has been in decline following Kushina's time in Konoha. Our village is the strongest because of my actions, Hashirama. The will of fire is stronger and burns stronger than ever through me and my actions. I regret nothing nor am I ashamed of my actions, said Hiruzen while the former Shodaime scowled heavily and landed multiple hard hits to older man's torso. Stronger? Konoha is weak. Weaker than it has even been before my death. I can feel it even as I feel anger in my heart. You twisted everything that made Konoha great during my time as Hokage and that of my brother's reign into something cruel. You turned the will of fire from one of purity to a dark and vile blackness matched only by Uchiha Madara's black flames he could launch from his Sharingan eyes. You are not worthy of being Hokage, stated Hashirama angrily, and saw Hiruzen was showing anger back at him in return. I am more than worthy. I endured countless battles, survived 3 shinobi wars, and lost countless friends in the process. My own wife died at the hands of Kyuubi on the night when the Uzumaki brat was born. You have no right to judge me, sensei. Hiruzen in an angry tone before kicking the man in the face with a flip kick. Sarutobi, Hiruzen. Your head belongs to me, yelled Naruto, as he was laying in way in the event the old Kage tried to get free from Hashirama's grip and was not surprised when it happened. Channeling quite a bit of chakra to his legs, Naruto readied himself with his ever-deadly Gatsu stance, knowing he would have one chance to strike if and when Hiruzen broke free. When the event did happen, Naruto struck with an intense speed born from training, and chakra in his legs to give him the extra boot needed to attack. his sword outstretched, extending his reach, and catching the Sandaime Hokage off guard. Squelch. While the sword did pierce the target Naruto was aiming for, it didn't pierce the old Kage's skull like he hoped, but rather hit Hiruzen dead center in the chest. The impact from the attack sent the Sandaime Hokage skidding back, grabbing the sword with both his hands, and spitting out blood in the process. Breaking the sword with both his hands, Hiruzen kicked the boy away while falling to his knees. "Damn you, boy. You are troublesome as your mother," exclaimed Hiruzen angrily. "Thank you. I try to be when it comes to assholes like you," replied Naruto while the old Kage tried to stand despite his current injury. "You really think my death will be the end of things, brat? You have no idea of the dangers lurking outside of this village. Waiting to attack you once I am gone. I am the only thing keeping them back. The only thing keeping you safe from their wrath." "From their fury," exclaimed Hiruzen angrily with Naruto scoffing. "Your definition of safe leaves a lot of room for improvement," remarked Naruto while walking toward the downed Hokage. "And your lack of appreciation for what I have done since you were born is insulting. It is because me that you lived as long as you have. It is through me that the village did not kill you within an hour following your birth," countered Hiruzen while Naruto scowled at him. "It was because of you I was hated. It was because of you I suffered. It was because of you that my mother's clan is scattered to the four corners of the world. It was because of you that my mother's clan has been removed from Konoha and no one knows anything about them." Naruto shot back and grabbed the helmet-covered head of the injured third Hokage. "And let you become too powerful to control? Let the village love you rather than hate you like it has always been with Jinchuriki? Bah. Your life was meant to be controlled and you will be controlled one way or another long after I am gone." Hiruzen shot back before spitting blood in Naruto's face. "Wrong. First, Uzumaki Mido, along with my mother, were never hated for what they held by those select few who knew the truth. Second, my life was never meant to be controlled by the likes of you, and those that think like you do. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. And as captain of that soul I will not have it usurped by some old, over-the-hill fool seeking to have his legacy of betrayal, greed, and lust for power live on even after his death," exclaimed Naruto before stabbing Hiruzen in the throat with his broken sword and watched with a measure of satisfaction at seeing the Sandaime Hokage die by his hands. "I shame to see our student fall the way he did," remarked Hashirama with Tobirama nodding. "I am still a bit surprised we are still standing after I killed this one behind us," remarked Tobirama since he knew the Edo Tensei was supposed to end their returned existence once the summoner was killed. "My seal was responsible for that. When I designed it knowing what Orochimaru had in mind, the seal spread through your body and essentially performed a override regarding the who part of the person sustaining you after being summoned," replied Naruto with the two Senju looking impressed. "So instead of my student being the anchor for us being summoned, it was you through your seal tag spreading the sealing formula over our bodies," surmised Tobirama with his tone of voice clearly showing he was impressed. "Exactly. I knew that if you were given the ability to move about freely, one of your main targets would be Orochimaru. But if you killed him first, before we got to the old monkey here, your bodies would collapse, and I would be facing him all alone. I may be good, but the old monkey would have used his years of experience to defeat me in the end. Not to mention the number of Konoha ninja he has who are loyal to him and would intervene on his behalf," commented Naruto before getting a grasp on the broken sword lodged in the dead Kage's chest and pulled it out knowing it could be repaired. "And your skills aren't even a considered master level yet?" questioned Hashirama since the ingenious behind the seal used on him and his brother was worthy of being called work done only by a master. "Not yet. I'm currently using shadow clones and waves to study them for roughly the past month since my enemy's plan required seals be used to counterattack. I need to use such a skill more in the field and continue to dive deeper into the theory of sealing before I can consider myself a proper seal master," replied Naruto with Hashirama looking impressed by the boy's stance on things and knew Mito would be proud. "And what will you do now, young one? Can you free us from the Edo Tensei or are we to live once more in this state?" asked Tobirama knowing that Naruto could have the power to control them in some aspect and held Konoha in his hands. "Good question, but before I answer I would rather hear what you want to do. Do you want to stay a little longer among the living? Or return to the land of the dead?" asked Naruto with Hashirama and Tobirama looking at each other. Konoha is in bad shape, brother. We should stay around long enough to see it get set back on track, said Hashirama with Tobirama, thinking things over and nodding. Agreed. We should remind these people and its shinobi what the will of fire truly is and not what our idiot of a former student claims it to be in his eyes. Replied Tobirama, since he had a feeling it was more than just Hiruzen involved in this little plot to pervert Konoha to their liking. Plus, I need to see Tsunade-chan. I imagine she is all grown up. I wonder how she is doing, remarked Hashirama, while Naruto looked pensive and Tobirama scowled. What's wrong? From the look on your face, we are about to see if not hear something about Tsunade we will not like, stated Tobirama with Naruto nodding. Yeah. You are, and it's not pretty, said Naruto before he explained his life to them, how Tsunade was supposed to be his godmother, but didn't commit to her duties. And only just recently did he suspect foul play at the hands of an Uchiha from the Uchiha clan. I warned you the Uchiha could not be trusted, brother. They have always been hateful of us no matter how many times you give them leeway, exclaimed Tobirama angrily while Hashirama slumped his head in a form of depression. Actually, Uchiha Itachi has been helping me greatly when called upon and has shown he embraces your version of the will of fire. The fire daimyo is so impressed with him that Itachi is to be made the next Hokage following Hiruzen's death or retirement, remarked Naruto, both Senju being shocked by this news. What? But the Uchiha clan will use him, protested Tobirama while Naruto shook his head no. Itachi is not like the rest of his clan, Tobirama-sama. In fact, he knows of the Uchiha I suspect used a genjutsu on Tsunade to make her turn against me. I know you have some measure of distrust against the Uchiha clan, but Itachi is not like them, and meet with the man to judge whether or not he is worthy. I think you will quite impressed, countered Naruto with Hashirama and Tobirama looking at one another before nodding. Very well. I will meet with this Uchiha, though I doubt one from such a clan will impress me in being worthy of becoming Hokage, remarked Tobirama with Naruto smirking at him. Shall we? There are still plenty of sound ninja left, and seeing you two fighting will no doubt quickly force them all into submission, stated Naruto before gesturing to all of the fighting still going on around them. Agreed. First, we kill the pest attacking from without, before we handle the infestation attacking Konoha from within, remarked Tobirama before he and his brother leaped into the air toward Konoha streets. They had work to do. Now I just hope Saito-sensei will forgive me for breaking my sword in battle. I'm going to need something stronger. Maybe a visit to Iron Country is in order, thought Naruto, since he knew from his own history lessons that Iron Country was filled with some of the strongest samurai around and could make some of the finest swords in all the world. He would just have to wait and see. This was all for now. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked it and that you will be back for more. Please like, share and subscribe. See ya.